Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst on this Sunday following the 50th commemoration of Earth Day. Our focus today will be a celebration of this blue-greened island we call home. We'll share poetry and songs and reflections from our intern minister, Kristina Church, and our Director of Faith Development, Angela Warren. I am so grateful to the behind-the-scenes folks who make it possible for us to continue to worship together in an online setting. We are learning that we can do things a little differently, like being outside on a beautiful spring morning. As we begin our worship together, we acknowledge that long before a church was built here, this land, like all of North America, belonged to indigenous peoples who lived in an abiding relationship with the earth. The native people who lived on and were displaced from this land were the Haudenosaunee. With sorrow for the ongoing ill effects perpetrated upon native people by a system of colonization, and with humble respect and gratitude for the relationship with the earth that they continue to teach, we offer an opening prayer from the Ute Indians of North America. Earth, teach me stillness, as grasses are stilled with light. Earth, teach me suffering, as old stones suffer with memory. Earth, teach me caring, as parents who secure their young. Earth, teach me courage, as the tree which stands all alone. Earth, teach me limitation, as the ant which crawls on the ground. Earth, teach me freedom, as the eagle which soars in the sky. Earth, teach me resignation, as the leaves which die in the fall. Earth, teach me regeneration, as the seed which rises in the spring. Earth, teach me to forget myself, as melted snow forgets its life. Earth, teach me to remember kindness, as dry fields weep with rain. Having offered our gratitude and our respect, we light our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith and heritage. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. It's been said that Unitarian Universalism is the religion that puts its faith in you, trusting each individual to engage in the spiritual journey and to reach our own conclusions about spiritual matters. We do that in beloved community as we support one another in faith and friendship. In that spirit, this congregation has crafted a covenant, a sacred promise of how we will strive to be with one another. I invite you to join me in speaking the words of our covenant. Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world. Please join me in singing hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning.
Sing we our joyful song.
for our time for all ages today, I want to introduce you to the giveaway ceremony. I had the opportunity to learn this from a Native American elder, and it's a really beautiful way of connecting with friends and also to understand our reciprocity, or what Robin Wall Kimmerer calls a covenant of reciprocity. So I've set up a little giveaway blanket right behind me, and in the various giveaway ceremonies that I've had the opportunity to be in, it's always a blanket, and people bring various items, whether it is items from nature, like this wonderful moss-covered rock, or a shell, which is escaping from me, a seashell, or sometimes people bring trinkets and jewelry from home. I received this wonderful dragonfly at a giveaway. So the purpose of the giveaway is to bring something that has value to us, maybe not monetary value. This rock with moss wouldn't fetch much at a pawn shop, but it has an importance of its own because we have relationships with the earth and with all of life. I want to share with you a little bit from Braiding Sweetgrass, the book by Robin Wall Kimmerer that has been foundational to the three of us who are doing worship today. This is from the epilogue, and it's entitled Returning the Gift. She writes, "In a culture of gratitude, everyone knows that the gifts will follow the circle of reciprocity and flow back to you again. This time you give, and next time you receive. Both the honor of giving and the humility of receiving are necessary halves of the equation. The gifts of the earth are to be shared, but gifts are not limitless. The generosity of the earth is not an invitation to take it all. Every bowl has a bottom. When it's empty, it's empty. And there is but one spoon, the same size for everyone. How do we refill the empty bowl? Something beyond gratitude is asked of us. We are bound in a covenant of reciprocity, a pact of mutual responsibility to sustain those who sustain us. The moral covenant of reciprocity calls us to honor our responsibilities for all we have been given and all that we have taken. It's our turn now, long overdue. Let us hold a giveaway for Mother Earth. Spread our blankets out for her and pile them high with gifts of our own making. Gifts of hands, heart, voice, and vision, all offered up on behalf of the earth. Whatever our gift, we are called to give it and to dance for the renewal of the world in return for the privilege of breath." We have a short clip of some of our pantry volunteers opening the pantry to discover just how empty it gets over the course of a day and refilling it to show much abundance for the many who are depending upon our little free pantry for food and other needs. In a moment, we're going to show you the clip. If you have not yet given to the Little Free Pantry, you can go to our website at uuamherst.org and go to the giving link and be able to donate much, much needed funds for the pantry. Or if you're out shopping and in the neighborhood, just drop off your donations at the back entrance of the church in one of the big green totes. So here's a little bit of action from our pantry.
Now my vision of ministry clear, brighten my pathway with radiance here, mingle my calling with all who will share, work toward a planet transformed by our care. Those beautiful and inspiring words are from the 5th verse of one of our favorite UU hymns, Wake Now My Senses. The words are by Reverend Thomas Mickelson, and I learned that he just recently died this spring. It's also where I got the title of my sermon this fall, at which I preached my first climate justice message here at UUCA. And it was the kickoff for our environmental justice work that we've done together during this year. I continue to be inspired by the vision of all those who have joined us in that work over the past year, whether by participating in the Our Place in the Web of Life group or the UU Common Read book groups on environmental justice and indigenous history, or the many climate-related film documentaries that we've shown. Many of you have taken part in at least some of our offerings. And thank you for all that you've shared and all that you've been willing to learn. Through planting seeds, researching municipal composting ordinances, planning community teach-ins together, or gathering for bonfires here in our ecology center, or even adding our voices and our bodies to public climate protests, we've made some real progress this year toward transforming our little corner of the planet by our care. And through doing this work, I've come to understand in a new way those famous and prophetic words by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. This statement by one of our greatest global thinkers applies just as well to the climate justice movement as it does to the civil rights movement of the 1960s or the anti-poverty movement that Martin Luther King started. It's all about reciprocity and the idea of the interdependent web of life as it's expressed in our Unitarian Universalist's seventh principle. Or, as Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer puts it so eloquently, all flourishing is mutual. And so, by sharing what we had to give and what we knew and what we've learned with the whole group, that's how we've made Planet Thursday a weekly learning event and a thriving learning community on Facebook too. And if you're not a part of the Planet Thursday Facebook group, I strongly encourage you to join us and to comb through some of the material that we've posted there. It's a place where we're learning to apply that climate justice lens to so many of the seemingly unconnected events that are impacting our world. Well, just a few days ago, Lorraine Marcus, that climate justice warrior extraordinaire, posted an article entitled, "Coronavirus is not just a public health crisis, it's an environmental justice crisis." And I realized we have truly begun to understand reality in a new way through this work that we're doing this year. It's been a true work of shared ministry, and the participants have taught me as much or more as anything I brought to share with the group. Reciprocity, indeed. Does this mean that our work here is done? Hardly. It's just beginning. Once we've experienced this interrelatedness of the economic, racial, health, food, labor, transportation, and climate injustices, we're even more fired up to work for real change. And this change can and should come on a personal, congregational, denominational, societal, and global level. Together is the only way that we can go forward with such daunting and interconnected problems as the ones that our world is experiencing right now. Planet Thursday and other UU climate justice spaces are where we can go to avoid burnout, avoid overwhelm, avoid paralysis. This is where we get the support and spiritual grounding that we need to even begin to address such a big, widespread, and seemingly intractable problem as climate change and environmental justice of all kinds. Now, while we've done some amazing work this year, we've certainly had some disappointments too. One major blow came recently when our big capstone event for the whole climate justice initiative, our planned community dinner and screening of the documentary film The Condor and the Eagle, plus a keynote talk by the Onondaga storyteller and scholar Perry Ground, had to be canceled due to the pandemic. But despite these obstacles, we resilient and resourceful citizens of Planet Thursday are still finding ways to meet and inspire one another during these physical distancing measures. Just this past Thursday, we gathered, virtually of course, in honor of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. We each brought a piece of poetry or a passage of writing that expressed some new learning or epiphany we've had about climate justice in the past year. And today, we want to share with you some of those sacred moments. I hope you'll be inspired by them too. Enjoy.
My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began. So it is now I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old or let me die. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety.
It's called The Honorable Harvest, Braiding Sweet Grass. Know the ways of the ones who take care of you, so that you may take care of them. Introduce yourself. Be accountable as the one who comes asking for life. Ask permission before taking. Abide by the answer. Never take the first. Never take the last. Take only what you need. Take only that which is given. Never take more than half. Leave some for others. Harvest in a way that minimizes harm. Use it respectfully. Never waste what you have taken. Share. Give thanks for what you have been given. Give a gift in reciprocity. Okay, how do you say that? Reciprocity for what you have taken. Sustain the ones who sustain you, and the earth will last forever.
Wewene, I say to myself, in a good time, in a good way. There are no shortcuts. It must unfold in the right way, when all the elements are present, mind and body harnessed in unison. When all the tools have been properly made and all the parts united in purpose, it is so easy. But if they're not, it will be futile. Until there is balance and perfect reciprocity between the forces, you can try and fail again. I know, and yet despite the need, you must swallow your sense of urgency. Calm your breathing so that the energy goes not to frustration, but to fire.
Among other wonders of our lives, we are alive with one another. We live here in the light of this unlikely world that isn't ours for long. May we spend generously the time we are given. May we enact our responsibilities as thoroughly as we enjoy our pleasures. May we see with clarity. May we seek a vision that serves all beings. May we honor the mystery surpassing our sight. And may we hold in our hands the gift of good work and bear it forth whole, as we were born forth by a power we praise to this one earth, this homeland of all we love.
Again into its strength, the fields undivided, the waters undammed, the trees towering and the walls built low. And in the valleys, people as strong and varied as the land. You too, God, will find your strength. We who must live in this time cannot imagine how strong you will become.
Who took the dream of the land? Who staked down private property through the soul of the deer? who diverted streams, cleared forests, burned fields. I seek to know my own name. I seek to know why, after all that I have done to hurt her, does the mother continue to embrace me?
The world is too much with us. Late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given away our hearts, a sordid boon. The sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, are upgathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything, we are out of tune. It moves us not, great God. I'd rather be a pagan suckled in a creed outworn. So might I be standing on this pleasant lea, have glimpses that would make me less forlorn, have sight of Proteus rising from the sea, or hear old Triton blow his wreathed horn.
The reading for Earth Day, April 22nd, in Mark Nepo's Book of Awakening, is entitled, "It Is Enough," and begins like this. One of the most difficult things for us to accept is that beneath all our dreams and disappointments, we live and breathe in abundance. It is hard when in pain to believe that all we ever need is before us, around us, within us, and yet it is true. Like leafless trees waiting for morning, something as great and as constant as the earth holds us up and turns us ever so slowly toward the light. Our task is only to be rooted and patient. The current pandemic is testing us all in many ways. Certainly one of these tests is patience. We have been uprooted from much of what we are used to in our daily lives. Where are we rooted then? How can we possibly have the nerve to call on patience when we don't even recognize where we are planted? The first time I shared a sermon with this congregation was in 2013 after participating in our Preaching by Parishioners program. I told the story of my faith journey, the movement from my Roman Catholic faith of childhood into my discovering of Unitarian Universalism. There was a 10-year lapse in between, during which I was quite singularly focused on raising 3 little girls. It just happened to be that I stumbled into a career in horticulture out of the necessity to make a living. This had nothing to do with patience within me. I was becoming rooted because of what I was paying attention to. My work and study filled the empty faith space with a growing love for learning about plants of all kinds, from the tiniest trillium to the mightiest oak. It is a magnificent mystery of life that the seeds of these 2 species are so close in size. Yet their fruition into adulthood is both vastly and proportionately different in the time it takes for each seed to grow up and the sheer difference in their mature size. The acorn that gives way to the oak cracks open and puts forth a woody central leader in just 1 season. And if the conditions are right, that leader will grow and branch, leaf out year after year, making thousands and thousands of new acorns each season for quite possibly hundreds of years. Yet the trillium tuber can take as many as 5 or more years just to emerge from the soil. And its objective is to make a simple 3-petaled flower with the whole plant only standing a foot tall. How do they each know what to be? It makes me envious of how simple it seems. They're pre-programmed. They're so lucky. Patience can't really be attributed to either of them, yet they seem to hold it just by existing. Our first UU principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and the 7th, respect for the interconnected web of all existence of which we are a part, roll off our tongues more often than the ones sandwiched in the middle. The 5th principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, is for me the one that makes me go, the one where I feel my head tilting and my mouth saying, what does that mean? It has so much more to do with our human decisions than the bread of the 1st and 7th. The first and seventh affirm what UUs consider given. This fifth one is dependent on thoughts, feelings, and actions. This principle is rooted in mystery. Most of my conversations and virtual meetups during the past 6 weeks have been with members of this beloved community, both one-on-one and in groups. One of the highlights of this time was on this Earth Day when I was able to share The Need to Grow, a documentary that holds healthy soil at the center of the movement to abate rapid climate change. We learned from this film that a tablespoon of healthy soil contains 6 billion microorganisms doing mysterious work. 6 billion microorganisms. We don't need to understand what each microorganism does in order for soil to work. How can we as a world population emulate the 6 million microorganisms in a tablespoon of soil? Where do we focus our attention? For far too long, our dominant culture has pushed the industrial growth complex, a term coined by Joanna Macy and Molly Brown in the work that reconnects. This is the myth that the Earth's finite natural resources can support an infinitely expanding extraction economy. How does this mindset of our culture have the audacity to suppose that our Earth Mother will keep giving and giving when we are not paying attention to the pain and suffering it causes to the ecosystems of which we are a part? As UUs, we are allowed to find spirituality in the mystery of science, biology, physics, sociology, psychology, epidemiology. What do the smallest particles teach us about the largest? What do they teach us about ourselves? In the scientific method, the theory holds much weight, the biggest truth. This presupposes we don't have all the answers. It gives hope to the cliche, it is all in the trying. In The Need to Grow, the protagonists all suffer major unexpected setbacks. Yet after everything crashes down on each of them, they decide to try again. The fifth principle of Unitarian Universalism affirms the value in trying. We have a right to conscience as individuals, yet we don't know where that will lead us. We affirm the right to the democratic process, yet the results of engaging in that process are uncertain. Yet we affirm these rights in the tenets of this covenantal faith. We affirm uncertainty, as we should. In the beginning of this church year, I remember stating in a ministry council meeting that maybe it's time for our congregation to take a collective breath. We had no idea how widely collective or how long this breath would become, as it has in the midst of this pandemic. We have been collectively pausing now for 6 weeks. Although my own focus has come in and out, I keep trying to slow down, to pay attention more, to focus on what is. In Just by E.E. Cummings, to me, is about this attention and what may become of it. In Just, spring, when the world is mud, luscious the little lame balloon man whistles, far and we. And Eddie and Bill come running from the marbles and piracies, and it's spring, when the world is puddle wonderful. The queer old balloon man whistles far and we. From hopscotch and jump rope, and it's spring, and the goat-footed balloon man whistles far and we. I know you can't see it, but the only 2 words capitalized in that poem are just and man. In the beginning, the man is little and lame, lowercase. In the middle, he is queer and old, still lowercase. In the end, he is kin to the god Pan, uppercase and goat-footed. What happened? It seems he attains this godlike status just by observing mud puddles and children playing games. As we continue to pause within this collective breath, we try to accept the mystery of knowing what normal, not knowing what normal will look like. Let us affirm that paying good attention to the mystery and wonder within each tablespoon of soil, within each seed, each mud puddle, and within each one of our souls, young, old, and in between, will help us become the beauty and the change that we want to see in the world.
Each week we affirm the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. Those I like to think of as 3 concentric circles, with the light of truth being the closest. It's an individual endeavor. The warmth of community is the circle that includes others in our immediate grouping, and the fire of commitment reaches out into the larger world. At this time, we consider those in our immediate circle. We hold one another in care and trust that we too will be held. Cherishing that warmth, please join your hearts with mine in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of community in which we share and find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward one another, seeking to bring into our circle of concern all who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. We are part of a web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, to care. Amen, Ashe, blessed be. I hope you'll sing with me. It's one of our favorite songs, Blue Boat Home. It's number 1064 if you have one of the teal hymnals at home. Join me in singing.
Making
As we prepare to close this worship service, I invite you to be an active participant in the life and ministries of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst by going to our website, uuamherst.org, and clicking on the Giving link. Thank you for your generosity. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember, I'm your friend.
Our benediction today is from Nancy Wood. Hold on to what is good, even if it is a handful of earth. Hold on to what you believe, even if it is a tree which stands by itself. Hold on to what you must do, even if it is a long way from here. Hold on to my hand, even when I have gone away from you. Thank you for joining us for worship today. See our website and the weekly email update for more ways to connect during this time of physical distancing. Be well.
Here they come. The birds.
This is where we get the support and spiritual grounding that we need, even to begin to address such a widespread and seemingly intractable problem.
Can I hang my legs over here? It's growing. Somehow, now I'm ruining it. The position. I want to sit forward. It's not cooperating.
This is where we get the support and spiritual grounding that we need to even begin to address such a big, widespread, and seemingly intractable.
It's a magnificent... Oh, sorry. Start over. The reading for this Earth Day, April 22nd, in Mark Nepo's Book of Awakening is entitled, It Is Enough. I have to start over.
Okay.
The values of freedom, liberty, and the core... Blech. Sorry. Okay. I'm going to start with the part. Part.
Starting over. Don't you poop on me.